All rise, Internet Court is now in session. Today, the court will hear two cases. Case 1, relatives, free housing, free food, and the audacity to ask, "What's for dinner?" Case 2, caviar, friendship, and the most expensive awkward silence in a taxi. The jury has already voted. The verdicts are ready. Let's begin. Case 1, what's for dinner? Plaintiff vs. defendant. Plaintiff, the woman who had enough. Defendant, the family of 3. Accusation, acting entitled. Here's the situation. The plaintiff says she is sick of feeding her relatives. She works from home online. Her husband works out of state for weeks at a time. Right now, they spend almost all their money on renovating their house because they are planning to move next year. And they need a lot of money for it. Because of that, they deny themselves almost everything. They even save on food. According to the plaintiff, they have been living like this all year, saving every cent. At the moment, they live in her mother's condo. But half of that condo belongs to the plaintiff because she and her husband bought that share. Her mother lives with them. Her sister also lives there with her husband and their school-aged child. They moved in recently. And according to the plaintiff, nobody asked for her permission. She says that living there has become unbearable. But now another problem has come up. Her sister works late, and when the sister's husband comes home from work, he constantly asks the plaintiff what he and the child can eat. The sister's whole family is in debt. They live off the plaintiff's mother. They do not pay rent. They do not pay utilities. And they do not buy groceries for the house. The plaintiff says she is already tired of feeding them. But on top of that, they also expect her to heat the food up and serve it. And they cannot even clean up their own plates afterward. The plaintiff says she does not want to ruin her relationship with her sister. But she did not invite them to live at her expense. And she never agreed to be the cook for their family. After hearing the full story, the court had one question. Was this family helping family? Or was this one woman being used in her own home? So we took the case to the internet jury. And the verdict came back loud and clear. 65% said, kick them out. 33% said, they're using her. And only 2% said, it's family. So the internet jury was pretty clear. Most people did not see this as family support. They saw it as one woman being used in her own home. Case 2, the expensive food fight. Plaintiff vs. defendant. Plaintiff, the wealthy friend. Defendant, the friend on a budget. Accusation, making caviar about money. Here's the situation. The plaintiff had a fight with her friend over food. Now she wants to know honestly, was she being petty or had her friend gotten too bold? She and this friend grew up together in the same neighborhood. They had known each other for years, but their adult lives turned out differently. The plaintiff married a man who was more financially comfortable. Her friend married her college boyfriend during their final year. Their family incomes are very different, but according to the plaintiff, that never gotten in the way of their friendship. When her friend and her friend's family come over to the plaintiff's home, they usually bring something small, a box of chocolates, or sometimes just a chocolate bar for the kids. The plaintiff says she does not expect anything more from them. She honestly enjoys hosting and treating people. That is why she always cooks and buys the best things for the table. But when the plaintiff and her husband go to this friend's house, they always bring red caviar, good sausage, fruit, vegetables, quality juices, and alcohol. And lately, something has started bothering both the plaintiff and her husband. According to the plaintiff, her friend opens the jar of caviar, makes 6 tiny sandwiches, and then puts the rest of the jar in the fridge. The sausage, ham, cheese, and fruit are also only partly cut and served. The rest is kept by the host. There's food on the table, technically, but most of it is the host's cheaper food. And the plaintiff says they cannot exactly sit there and say, "Can you cut up the rest of the pears, kiwi, and cheese? Can you make more sandwiches with the caviar?" Because technically, the food has not run out, but it still leaves a bad taste. The last time, the plaintiff and her husband brought 2 kinds of cheese and lightly salted salmon. Only about a third of the salmon made it to the table. There were barely any grapes either, but there were apples in the fruit bowl. At that point, the plaintiff could not take it anymore. She pulled her friend aside into the kitchen and asked her to put everything they had brought on the table in full. Her friend got offended. She said she did not realize they were apparently bringing all that food for themselves. Then she said money had changed the plaintiff. The plaintiff understood that as her friend implying she had become petty, the plaintiff and her husband left. They sat in silence the entire taxi ride home. When they got back, her husband said they had put themselves in a very awkward position. The plaintiff kept thinking about it. Now she is honestly not sure. Did she act badly? Or had her friend started taking advantage? At this point, the court had one very uncomfortable question. Was the friend quietly taking advantage of expensive food, or did the author turn dinner into a grocery audit? So, we gave the case to the internet jury. And this verdict was not as friendly to the author. 51% said, the author is being petty. 30% said, bring cheaper food. And 19% said, the friend is being rude. So the internet jury was split, but the message was pretty clear. Most people didn't think this was worth a friendship-level explosion. They basically said, if you don't like how she serves the expensive food, stop bringing expensive food. These two stories are both about food, but emotionally they're about completely different things. Case 1. What's for dinner? The problem is not the food. The problem is that her home slowly stopped feeling like her home. Her sister's family moved in without really asking for permission. They barely contribute to anything. And now they expect her not only to share her food, but to serve them as if it were her job. And evidence number 4, she stays quiet because she does not want to ruin her relationship with her sister. And this is the emotional trap. She is trying to protect the relationship by staying silent, but that silence is exactly what allows the resentment to grow. Things like this do not become unbearable overnight. It all starts with small favors. Then people get used to it, and before you even realize it, your kindness turns into an obligation. Maybe that is exactly why so many people took her side. They saw a woman who was slowly losing control over her own home. Because this is not about one dinner. It is about a pattern. One person gives more and more, while everyone else acts like that is just normal now. The relationship is already being ruined, just quietly. Every time she says nothing, the resentment grows. And at some point, the anger is no longer about groceries, dishes, or dinner. It is about the feeling that someone is using you, ignoring you, and taking you for granted in your own space. So the real issue here is not whether she should feed them one more time. The real issue is that nobody asked if she wanted this role in the first place. She did not agree to become the cook. She did not agree to become the waitress. She did not agree to become the person who carries everyone else's problems while pretending everything is fine. And that is why the court sees this as more than family drama. This is what happens when help has no limits, no gratitude, and no end date. Case closed. Case 2. The expensive food fight. She probably sees the expensive food as generosity. In her mind, she is not just bringing groceries. She is bringing something nice for the table, something everyone can enjoy together. But the problem is that generosity came with expectations. Evidence number 1. She brought caviar, salmon, and cheese. Not random leftovers, but the best items that were being saved for later. Evidence number 2. The best items were being saved for later, but not for everyone. And that is why she felt offended. To her, it looked like her friend was taking the expensive food and quietly keeping the good part for herself. But from the friend's side, it may have felt different. Evidence number 3. She thought it was a gift for the household. And evidence number 4, the difference in money made the situation even more awkward. The real issue here is that the author brought not just caviar, salmon, and cheese, but also unspoken expectations. Maybe that is exactly why the internet jury found the plaintiff guilty. She expected the food to be served a certain way, but she never said that clearly. So when she finally brought it up, it came out as an accusation, and her friend immediately got defensive. This is why the fight became bigger than food. It became about money, pride, embarrassment, and who felt judged first. So, yes, the friend's behavior was strange. But the author also turned dinner into a grocery audit. Case closed. The verdicts have been delivered. Case closed. In the first case, the court saw a woman being used in her own home. In the second case, the court saw expensive food, invisible expectations, and a friendship that got dragged into an argument over what should have stayed on the table. Next week, a new scandal takes the stand. Vote in the new cases, because in this court, the jury is you.